Hello everybody. So if you go to page 97, okay, we already saw future in the past. It wasn't so complicated. This is a bit more complicated. The advantage of doing an advanced book is that you have advanced features. Okay, the structures are, what there is the same, but you have like some uses which are different, or even here some structures that you may not have seen. Okay, so you have some structures to talk about the future in the past. You need to decide, you need to read the sentences and decide which of these four options can substitute the structures which have been underlined. Okay, so for example, the first one, I was going to call you last night. So did it happen? No, it didn't happen. So which one do you think it is? 3, 2, 1. This could be, I was thinking of calling, then you'd have to change this. I was thinking after preposition ing. So I was thinking of calling you last night, but then I realized, so I was thinking of doing something in the future in the past. Or I was about to. I was about to can be used to. I was about to gives the idea of immediacy. Write down immediacy so I know you're listening. Like immediate, but CY at the end. Immediacy with double M. Okay, so you do the same for the other 5. Okay, see which one can be used. Notice that they are not exactly the same. Okay, this is passive. 3, 2, 1. Okay, number 2. We weren't supposed to know, so we weren't meant to know. It's like meant to is supposed. You are not meant to do that. You're not supposed to do that. You shouldn't do it. Okay, so something was meant to be done. Notice scientists find out. Okay, number 3. The best one, due to, is normally for something formal like timetables and so on. Due to the Olympic Games were due to start in July 2020, but were delayed because of the pandemic. Due to. Okay, so something is due to happen. So something is going to happen, but it's something like official. Okay, so the train was due to leave. You have to change this. Was due to leave at 10:30. Or you would say this, but I like this one less. I like this one better for timetables and so on, schedules. So you could say the train was meant to leave, but this is more for people, like you were supposed to do something. But anyway, okay. Number 4, we were thinking of inviting. We're going to invite, so we're thinking about inviting. So again, you have to change this. We're thinking of or about inviting. And I don't think you can say this is the idea of immediacy doesn't really make sense here, so I don't use it here. Number 5, she was going to. Here, yes, about to. Okay. And she was about to make such a terrible mistake. Again, about to is the idea of immediacy, but anyway, was going to is prediction based on evidence, or that you are sure that something's going to happen. But anyway, from this, the best one is 5. Okay, and the last one, 6, the same. Okay, she was about. No, he was about to become world famous. There are other expressions, but they are not here. That's one that I like better than this one, but we are going to see it in number 2. Okay, as always, if you have any questions, write them down, and when you come to class before the exam, you can shoot me is, you can say, like playing cards, shoot me, like dame otra, shoot me when you play blackjack is blackjack. Okay, it's like la 7:30 blackjack. It sounds cooler in English. So number 2, now more expressions to talk about future in the past. These are more advanced. These ones were not so advanced, but anyway, meant to a bit and due to a bit more advanced. These are advanced. Okay, but we've seen some of these in Rebecca. So go ahead, read the questions, read the sentences carefully, and answer them. Okay, make sure you've done it. 3, 2, 1. So, was to have got married. This gives the idea of she did not get married. Here, this is like, what word can you say here? Was supposed or meant. By this idea of using the past here, the perfect infinitive, is the idea of something hasn't happened. Okay, if it can still happen, you may use the present, but use the past, this perfect, when the action is finished. So that is finished. So we're supposed to have got, you have something like this. Well, it's late, so I'll tell you later. You have it in Rebecca. So they were to have finished the report. So is it the same as they didn't manage to finish the report? More or less. Okay, they didn't manage, but here, the idea here is that it was their obligation. They didn't manage to finish. Well, we can assume that they had to, but we don't know for sure. But they didn't manage to finish it. They had to, and they didn't. Sorry, they were to have finished it. They were supposed to have finished. So it is the same as this one. Okay, they were supposed to. Well, here you have more idea of obligation because of the meaning of the sentence. Now, the institute was to close. Is it the same as this? Yes. Okay. The institute will close within the year. Now, did the action happen? The institute was to close within the year. If we don't say anything else, it happened. This is important. This is the difference what I told you before. This is the difference between this and these two. Here the action wasn't completed, but here probably if we don't say anything else, the action was completed. It was perfected. It was finished. This is what you have in Rebecca. Which one was it? Who was to make all the arrangements from now on? Mrs. Danvers was. So who was to make the arrangements? Who was supposed to make the arrangements? So we assume that Mrs. Danvers would make the arrangements from then onwards. Okay, so the action is done. Okay, if you say, hi, Mrs. Danvers was to have made the arrangements. So it's like she didn't do it. She was supposed to have done it, but you were supposed to have corrected your podcast, but you didn't. Or you were supposed to have done it, or you were to have done it, but you didn't. Okay, so this idea, perfect tenses. Okay, the action was completed. Present. Okay, to close is present infinitive. It wasn't done. Okay, so where to take part? This is the same as before. So were these people expected? Yes. Okay, they were expected to. They were supposed to. Is this idea? You see, this is more like expected. This is more like supposed obligation. This is more like expected rather than obligation. Okay. So now these sentences, you need to use the structures that we've seen. Okay, only with was and were. So basically, was plus infinitive, was to do something or was to have done something. I would follow the advice I've given you. The action has been completed, okay, or is supposed to have been completed, so present. If you think the action hasn't been completed, either because it can be assumed or the rest of the sentence tells you, then I will use the perfect one. The action, sorry, I don't know what I'm saying. If it is the perfect one, is that it's over now. It hasn't been done, and there isn't anything you can do about it. If you use the present, okay, like this, is probably the action happened, okay, or it can still happen. That's important. It can still happen, so it's not perfected yet. That is not over. It's not finished. I don't know if I explained this very well. Sorry. Anyway, we'll look at the examples and I'll try to explain it better. Okay, so we'll do one at a time. Number one. Okay, 3, 2, 1. So, was the action done? But it wasn't. It didn't happen, but it had to. But it's over now. So, they were to have left. So they should have left, but they didn't. If you say they should leave, perhaps it can still happen. If you think about that, they should leave today. Well, you don't know if it has happened or not, but it's present. They should have left today, so they haven't left and it's over. Okay? So think about this. So did the action happen? Did she produce some of the greatest writing of her generation? Yes. Okay. So she was to go on to produce because the action happened. 3. Major, notice major, important. But, so did the action happen? Was this study published? No, it wasn't. But it should have been. Think about this. I think if you think about should have, it's very easy. It should have been published. So the study was to have been published in the past because it wasn't. But, and the but helps too. The but of pero, not the but of where you sit on. Employees. But they've had nothing yet. Now. Has the action finished? Yet. Okay, it can still happen, so I'd say present. The employees were to be informed. You say informed here, but not because it's past, but because it's passive. This is present in the passive. The employees were to be informed about the company by the company, but they've had nothing yet, but it can still happen. So it's like today. Okay, when you say we should be informed today, we haven't been informed yet, but we should be informed today. It can still happen. And 5, this afternoon, but there has been a delay. Okay, so this depends. If you consider that it can still happen, we were to sign the contract this afternoon because this afternoon hasn't finished. If you said yesterday, then it has finished, but this afternoon hasn't finished, so perhaps it will still happen. So we were to sign the contract this afternoon, but there's been a delay. Okay, or if you think that this afternoon has finished, then you can say we were to have signed the contract, but there's been a delay. Okay, but since it can still happen, we should sign the contract this afternoon, but there has been a delay. But perhaps in an hour's time we'll sign it. But she decided to continue to live and work in Europe. So, did it happen? Okay, she decided to continue, so she didn't. So, the psychologist was to have become, because nothing can be done about it. The difference between this and these two is that in these two, the period of time hasn't finished yet. So that's why, like in Spanish present, in English present perfect, it hasn't finished yet. Something can still happen. But for example, here, because eventually she decided to continue. This is in the past. Everything is finished. So you have to use the perfect infinitive. And I'm going to show you the answers so you can recheck them because my writing here obviously is not the best. Okay. But notice go on to, we've seen this in the podcast a couple of weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, I put this. Go on to is to continue, but something has changed. So you don't go on doing, you go on to do pasas a hacer algo. Okay? These are the ones I told you. Okay? It can still happen. They haven't had anything yet. They may hear something. There's been a delay. It can still happen. This is impossible. This is impossible. Decided to make it available. So this has already been decided. This has already been decided. Okay? So, rewriting. Remember, between 3 and 6 words. Now you have to be very careful here. Reality must be the same. So you have to take that into account when it comes to choosing. And what I do, he was to finish the project by today. Okay? Today hasn't finished by any way. You don't know how far into the day you are. Perhaps it's 11:59. Okay? So, think about what structure you expected to use and the meaning. But notice he was to finish, not he was to have finished. So they should give you a clue. If here you haven't used to have finished, you shouldn't use it here either. Okay? So look at the words and think about what the structure from the ones we've seen you need to use. Ready? Go ahead, do it, check it, make sure you haven't changed things that don't need to be changed. Okay, if this is past, you can say the project is supposed. Okay, if this was past, this should be past too. Things like that. Don't make changes that don't need to be made. 3, 2, 1. Okay, make sure you've done it. I'm going to give you some clues. So supposed, I've told you. To finish, now this is passive. So you have to be careful. I don't know what this says, but anyway. To be finished. Okay. This is the one I prefer. It wouldn't be wrong to say to have been finished if it is the end of the day, but if it says present, here it could have said he was to have finished, but he didn't. So don't write here to have been finished, even if here you didn't have that. Okay. Now a paper is like un trabajo, or the research paper. I have a paper to hand in. A paper in like a university is un trabajo que presentar. We say in Spanish un trabajo. I think it's un trabajo. Okay. So the researchers, now notice this is passive, but the researchers are doing the action here. So it doesn't change from passive to active. And someone is due to do something, but with the correct form. 3, 2, 1. Okay. So they were due to publish. Someone is due to do something. So in the past were due to publish, not to be published, because they are doing the action to be published, because this is passive. Okay. Again, this week hasn't finished, and again it doesn't say was to have been published this week. So if it doesn't say was to have been published, don't say to have were due to have published. Don't change things that don't need to be changed. In any case, it might be giving us correct, but just in case. So that was the phone, how would you say? The fire extinguisher, no, el extintor. The fire extinguisher has to be replaced. So the guy was giving me fair warning before he came. That's because he wants to get his money. His dough. Anyway, sorry for this. Okay, they were to tell us today if we had won the competition. So now here you have been, so you are forced to use the passive and the past. You understand? In any case, so this should have been, they were to have told us today. But anyway, today hasn't finished. But if you want the student to write been, this should have been, they were to have told us. This is what I tell you about English being a flexible language. So they were to tell us. Now, in the passive, we were to, you have been, so not many options, 3, 2, 1. Okay, we were to have been told, but it should be, we were to be told today, because if this is the way to tell us, so we were to be told. But anyway, people who prepare tests, exams and tests and books make mistakes too. Unlike David. I'm joking, I make lots of mistakes too. Anyway, so I was going to ask, very easy, I was going to ask you, I am thinking of 3, 2, 1. Okay, so I was thinking of asking for your advice. Asking you, you could say asking you for your advice, but if you have your advice here, I wouldn't say you. Asking for your advice. Okay. So it was almost closing time. So the shop something was about to happen. So 3, 2, 1. The shop was about to close. Easy peasy. We were going to invite Sarah. So this is in the past. This is like third conditional. This is mixed conditional, more or less. Okay. So in the past, 3, 2, 1. We would have invited Sarah, but we knew she should be away. If it's in the present, you say we would invite her, but we know that she's not here, so we're not going to. But if she was here, we would invite her. But in the past, we would have invited her. Now remember, to practice this, if you didn't do very well, you should take this. You can use this if you want, no reason. I'm going to leave this here, and now this here. You can just cover this and do it until you can do it perfectly. Okay, the researchers were to publish the research paper this week. Okay, well, the research paper this week. We were to have been told today whether we'd won or if we had won the competition. I was thinking about asking for your advice. The shop was about to close. Okay, so if you can do this, then the structure will stay in your mind the way it has stayed in mind. That's one. Okay. Was always common, no? He was to become famous. They were to. I hear this in the podcast, the Global News podcast, where like about the news and reporters use formal language. For example, thousands of people are believed to have disappeared during the war in Syria. I've heard this today. Are believed to have disappeared. So, but obviously you're not going to listen to the news. I don't expect you to do it. But lots of these advanced structures appear, okay, in formal text, so formal language like the news. That's it. Thank you very much. Remember, we'll revise this next week on Tuesday. I'll send you like the last, the review at the end, plus extra exercises to practice. Thank you very much. Bye. Have a nice weekend. Long weekend. Party. Thank you. Bye.